I can't remember how old I was, but I do remember being, at least in elementary school, the first time I heard at the little Methodist church in Frankfort, Delaware, asking people if they wanted their kids to go to summer camp. And there was a part of me that wanted to go, but not enough a part of me that felt the courage to ask my parents, because I knew it was going to cost money, and I also knew that money was always tight. So you can't go to Boy Scout camp and do this and everything else. So there was part of me that I was a little afraid to ask. There was also a part of me that I was into this church stuff, but a lot of the people we hung out with and played ball with weren't into just church stuff, and so I didn't want to get razzed, ridiculed, whatever, bullied, whatever you want to call it. So always kind of held back, but always had that sense like I wish I had done it. So when Carol and I got married and we had kids and we moved down here and I started hearing about the camp, we wanted to make sure our kids went. So Sarah and Heather and Nathan all went to camp for as many years as possible. Sarah, I think she'd have been happy just to pack up her belongings and move to the camp for the whole summer. She helped out in so many different ways down there. Heather, as she went because we wanted her to go, but the dorms were weren't air conditioned, and you were more prone to see little bugs and spiders and whatever else, and it was hot and it was miserable. So she was more inclined. She was ready her last couple of years to kind of step out of it. Nathan went and enjoyed himself very much, and I've gotten to see my grandkids, some of them going off to camp and very much enjoying it. Haley loved it to death and would be there anytime she could as well. One of the benefits camp helped with, our church here did a great job helping our children to learn about Jesus. We tried our best at home to do the same thing as well. But when we sent them to camp, they got a solid week of it and learned a lot more. Sarah and Heather, I was at Fort Meade, Maryland for a training that I was going through for the military. And I called home, and Carol told me, I think it was a Thursday night, I called home, and she said the kids had responded at the Vespers or campfire, whatever they call it now, and they were interested in becoming Christians. And she said the camp wants to know if we want them to wait till they get home and be baptized at our church. And I remember telling Carol, I said, no, that's not what we believe. We believe that when somebody makes a decision for Jesus, as soon as possible, you go ahead and get them baptized into Christ so their sins will be remitted and their name will be written in the Lamb's Book of Life. So my two were baptized down there, and if I remember correctly, it was in the river. So I'm glad they did that. I'm glad they made that decision. So I'm a proponent of sending your kids to camp. Now, if you're a procrastinator, you know what a procrastinator is, right? There's always tomorrow to get done what you should have done today. The camps fill up quick. They're filling up faster than they ever did. And a lot of times your kids end up on a waiting list, and you hope some kid decides not to go to camp so your kid can go. So don't be a procrastinator. Get involved in it if you want them to go. We're going to have here in just a minute, Chris is going to come and share with us the news of the camp. A few years back, we asked him to come a couple times, and he's been very gracious about driving up here and sharing with us the news and the camp, what they're proposing, what they're planning to do, their goals, all the things that they're trying to get done. He's been really gracious about doing that. Obviously, he didn't come up during the pandemic, so I don't know why. He's a little afraid of a little bug, but no, we respect that. So Roy was able to talk with him and is able to get him to come up here. And he's the director of the camp. He'll fill you in more about what he's done and what he's trying to do and what they're hoping to get done at the camp. So let's welcome Chris Avery. All right. Oh, get out.
decided to try to mess with the sound guy after they told me like 6 times to push the button and not push the button and then pretend like it was a problem, but that wouldn't be funny, would it? No. We love our sound people because most of the time it's not their fault, but everybody looks at them and they take the blame. Good, so I appreciate the sound people. I sound really bassy now, like a grown man. Look at that. My name is Chris. As I said, I'm with Roanoke Christian Camp. Roanoke Christian Service Camp is still the official, I guess. Still the official name, so it can be both. This is fun. So my job as the manager, I've started in 2012, so this will be 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 22, 12th summer that I've been there. I went the first time when I was 7, and I think I've told you this story, but it was a half week. They called it Pee Wee Week, and my cousin came to me and said, "Hey, you going to camp?" I said, "What's camp?" He said, "We don't have to work in tobacco." I said, "Deal." And so I went. And that's the first time I went. I was 7 years old. I am 47 now, so I have been 40 consecutive years to camp. I have done almost everything you can do there. My job right now is manager, which means I am the janitor. My job is to do what needs to be done. Sometimes it's mowing. Sometimes it's painting the pool. Sometimes it's scraping the pool. This week it was vacuuming the algae out of the bottom of the pool so we could try to paint it, and then it rained, and I can't paint it, so I got to do all that again. I have done everything from put my arm in a toilet to get somebody's glasses out because that's my job, to becoming an infectious disease expert because I did almost get a degree in biology, so I pretty much understood what was happening, so we were able to navigate that well. So my job is to do what needs to be done. And you guys know, you work with things, there's nothing like when you got to do something having the right tool. Now, if you're like me and you were there trying to take apart something, and you know you have the perfect tool in your workshop, but your workshop's a quarter of a mile away, and it would take, 5 minutes to walk there and back? You do everything in your power to not use that tool, right? I will come up with like ratchet straps and trucks attached to things and tractors, whatever else, and take 45 to 50 minutes to do something that would have taken 10 minutes if I'd have gone and got the right tool, right? So I say that to be funny, but the camp is a tool. Back in forever years ago, 1940s, there were a group of people that went to a camp in Indiana, and they were like, this is a good tool for the church to have. Because the good thing, we were talking this morning, the great thing about our churches is they're independent. We don't have a governing body over each one, and sometimes a hindrance to our churches is we don't get together a lot. Like, we don't know what the other churches and our brotherhoods are doing. So this was designed as a way to connect churches, to get people together in a common area. It is called Roanoke Christian Camp in Washington, North Carolina, just to confuse everybody. On the Pamlico River, not even on the Roanoke River. Because there used to be this thing, the Roanoke District Convention. Roanoke Bible College was named. They changed their name to Mid-Atlantic. So we are the last little remnant of that naming of things like that. I've got the whole files of all the meetings they ever did, and sometimes I just look through to see what discussions they were having for fun. So we're named Roanoke Christian Camp because there was a district of that, and we are the last part of the naming of it. So it's in Washington, which is an hour and 41 minutes south. Just go on 17, take one left, take one right, you're there. That's really what it is. I guess you got to turn off now in Williamston. You don't have to, but you should because it's faster. But it's pretty much a straight shot, easy to get there. But the people that designed it also wanted a way to educate kids. The fun thing about camp is, and there's a lot of fun things besides the spiders and the humidity and the miserable, as you put it. That was great. Thanks for that plug. No, the funny thing is, I'm joking you, but our secretary that works with us now, do you guys remember Chuck Holton that worked at the Bible College? His daughter, Isabella, works with us, and she went to one half week of camp and hated it so much she never went back. And so she's good to have on staff because she's like, these are all the things I didn't like, so we need to make them better. So it's good to have her around. But I'm not here to convince you to send your kid to camp. Some kids just aren't camp material. That's fine. But I am here to let you know that it's a good tool. You get as much, like 52 weeks, 52 hours, maybe 104 hours if you stay for 2 services at church. That's how much your kids get if they come to Sunday morning. If they come to Sunday night to get a few more. Now think about 5 days of camp, 24 hours of immersion into this. It's almost as many hours as probably more than most kids get in a year of church. They get in 1 week of church camp. And they get plugged in. It's good to gather here with church people on Sunday morning. You're plugged in with your peers for a whole week. And that was a big deal for me because when I went to my school, it was a small school. I guess small is relative around the area. But I knew everybody down to like 6th grade. So it was that kind of school. I was also, didn't know people's names. I just kind of recognized faces. But I felt like I believed something, and a lot of the people around me were doing different things than what I believed. And it was never a problem for me to act different. I didn't really care what people thought of me. But it was nice to go to camp and feel like there were a lot of kids that felt and believed the same thing I did and acted the same way I did and wanted to achieve the kind of life I wanted to achieve. So it's kind of, it's a powerful tool for children, powerful tool for adults to get together and have things. So I'm going to talk about that today. I think Roy said I had to be done by like 1:10, 1:15. Yes. So I'm going to blast through some slides because, funny story, I printed off my slides and didn't print off the notes. So we're just going to wing it. How's that sound? So next slide, Roy, if you don't mind. What we are, Roanoke Christian Camp is a nonprofit. It is its own business. It operates by a board of directors that are sent from our supporting churches. We can have 15. We can have 15 supporting churches. Each one can have 2 people, so if something happens, they can swap off and send people. But they are the ones who hire me, fire me. I don't own the camp. There was a rumor going around on Facebook that I own the camp. I don't own the camp. The camp pays me to work there. I, unlike Sarah, went and got a degree in recreational management from East Carolina. I went to my advisor in biochemistry. She said, "You're not biology material. What do you want to do?" I said, "I want to work at a summer camp." She said, "Well, go do that because you're not going to make it in this career." I said, "Yes, ma'am." So I went and squeezed what should have been 4 years of college. I got an associate's degree from Johnson after I got a bachelor's degree at East Carolina in 5 years because I changed my degree. And then I went a year and a half to Johnson. So what should have been 4 years of school, I spent 7 years doing, but I got in the right place. So I got a job there, and I've been there ever since because I'm smart. But we do rentals, we do summer camp. The main focus, and I'll talk about a lot of things, but everything I talk about, understand when I say we're going to do this stuff or try to go this way or look at all this stuff, the main focus of what we do is summer camp. So if we're building a new building, it's perfect for summer camp, and it's really good for other things. If we're designing the property like this, it's perfect for summer camp, it's really good for these other things. So keep it in mind, our focus is summer camp. I have no desire to get away from that. I feel like that's the ditch we're in, and we do well doing that, and I want to keep doing it. We emphasize safety. We have a unique structure of doing things. It's probably not unique if you think about it from church, but if you're an insurance adjuster, it's terrifying the way we do things. We have 2 paid staff year-round, me and Isabella. And then during the summer, we bring in like 7 staff. We have the people that need to keep the health department happy. Those are the ones we pay to be there. And then we have 25 volunteers that show up new every week. I pick a dean, and the dean picks 24 people to come work with your kids. So effectively, our ministry is run by volunteers, which is exactly what your ministry is doing. I mean, you have your ministers in charge and the Sunday school teachers and everybody else, do the things. And that's how it should be because ministry is better when the people that are passionate about it are doing it. If the parents are involved in the children's ministry is better. Keep that in mind. And so we have volunteers that come in. We do background checks on all the volunteers. The deans we have, I have one that's been there 2 summers, but she came with Kevin McNeil, who is a superstar. He worked with the camp up at Blue Ridge. He was their chairman of the board for a while, of all things. So I trusted him. He picked her. She ended up being an assistant manager randomly at a church camp. I don't know how these things work out. But I pick people. They pick people they trust. And we background checks on them. Safety is the thing we're looking at. We're looking at physically, spiritually, and emotional safety. So we want the kids to be taught the right thing. We keep the age group tight about 3 years. So you will say, hey, my kid is 9. They're going to turn 10 in 6 months. Can they come to this session? And I will say no. If they are about 2 weeks out, I would probably say yes. But it's not fair to kids if we have a 5-year age gap. You got a 7-year-old and a 12-year-old in the same session of camp. That's a lot of different stuff they're talking about. And I don't necessarily want my 7-year-old hearing things that the 12-year-olds are talking about. And the 12-year-old is going to be bored to death listening to things that the 7-year-old is learning. So we keep the age range tight, and it seems like I'm being mean, and sometimes I'm not. But I try to keep it fair for the kids so that they can have the lessons they need to have with the friends they need to have during that session. So we emphasize safety and everything. We actually installed a new gate, a $15,000 gate. I don't know. It took me like a year and a half to get it installed because everybody was backed up in the pandemic. We paid for part of it, and then I'm just out there pushing the gate with my arm, and then we got electricity, and it's been much better to just push a button, and it opens and closes. But people just drove in and out of our camp, which was fine. We knew a lot of people that come in, but this is not the world that it was 20 years ago where people can just roll up and say, hey. So we're trying to do everything we can, even in the little town of Washington, to keep everything safe. We make donations to our local fire rescue. So when a kid has their first ever seizure last year, we have 2 EMTs there. When your kid passes out with his first seizure, you wanted to do it in the arms of 2 EMTs. It was very scary, but everything works out fine because Jesus loves our camp. So my kids go to camp there. I try to ignore my kids when they're there. I want them to have the experience I have, but I want them to be safe, and I treat every kid there like I would want my kid to be treated. So take that for what it's worth. And fun. We want every kid to have a good time. Now, we don't want to have a good time all the time because if your kid is having a blast for the 24 hours they're there, that means some kid is bored to death because every kid likes different stuff. So we want them to try new things. We want them to be bored a little bit because they're trying something they've never tried. Some kids like to run sports all day and just sweat and die, and then other kids want to lay in the air conditioning and do crafts. So we try to do something for everybody. We have a wide variety of stuff we try to do, make it fun for everybody. I don't know what the next slide is. Attendance. Can you see that? I can't see that. I got it right here. We had about 1,000 kids come over the past several years. We've done a different way of how I recorded. I think the next slide, we're not doing that one next, but yet. But it shows how the attendance goes. But pretty much our sessions can hold 120 campers. We have 66 girls at max, and then whatever boys fill in the remainder, 54, because the girls always fill up first. And it has been that way. I saw attendance from like 80s and 90s, and there's always more girls going. I think it's how we design church. We talk about feelings and relationships, and then boys are like, that's kind of weird, and girls are like, I love relationships. So I don't know. I'm trying to figure that one out. But we have ages, the day camps, I piled them all together because my thing was running out, but we have 4 to 7-year-old day camps. They'll come on a Saturday. We have a week-long day camp we call Pathfinders, which is pretty far for you to drive every day. But it'll go from Monday through Friday in the morning to the afternoon during the school, the parents' work time, because school's out. And we had 40 the first year. We raised it to 65 last year. We raised it to 90 this year. Deeper Life happens at the same time. It's older high school kids, and they kind of work as a staff for those kids, and they just hang out and they make a friend. And we raised that up to 50 this year. That's 140 kids in our dining hall. We have 120 capacity because our dining hall can seat 160 people before we have problems. So you got 120 kids, 25 volunteers, our staff, that's 160. I don't know why I brought 140 kids here for that, but the breakfast and lunch is going to be fantastic. And they're like, can we get some more kids? I was like, we cannot actually get, and then I put another kid in because his brother got in. It's just not fair if one brother is 50 and another brother is 51 on the wait list, so I slid him in and then somebody dropped out, so it worked out fine. But I make all these rules and then I break them sometimes because I'm really softy. Discovery Camp, you'll see, is the second one. We got rid of that, so just ignore that. Explorers is a half week, younger kids. We start the sessions of camp for a half week at 5 years old. I did this as a person before I had 5-year-old kids. That seems really young. But these kids love it. We got Lainey Hodges, who is the children's director at Journey Church in Washington, and she was a teacher. She is wonderful. She loves these kids. She takes care of these kids. If you need something, hey, Lainey, can I have a latex glove? She got it in her pocket. She got everything you need. So for real, I was in the septic tank. She said, hold on, put this on. She had gloves in her pocket, so I was like, thank you. So anyway, junior sessions fill up. You'll see that the sessions are so 104, 101, 105. With like 60-some girls. Intermediate sessions, that's the one he was talking about that has a wait list for girls. Right now, within a month, we got the 66 girls. They have like 14 girls on the wait list for each of those sessions. And you'll notice 65 and 62 are the numbers. Kids will leave in the session, so we don't actually count them after they leave, just the way our software is, we take them out. And if your kid is on the wait list, you talk about procrastinating, sometimes there's just some miscommunication. My wife thought, I'm the camp manager. My kids go to camp for free. My wife said, did you register for camp? I said, no, I thought you registered for camp. There's a wait list. My daughter's 16th on the wait list. Sometimes that happens. But if you are patient at that Sunday night, we will go down and we'll call down the list. We try to fill every spot we can. So if you don't make plans, my daughter was 16th on the list and got in because she ain't going nowhere because I'm working all summer, so she can't really go. High school's fun, and then day camps. Attendance is the next slide. It shows there was a pandemic in the middle, and we're pretty steady at about 1,000 kids. Our capacity, if we packed everything out, would be like 1,100, maybe 1,130. So we're busting that point. If you think about return on investment, those dorms were built in the 50s for concrete block and plumbing that's falling apart. Like, that's pretty good. It lasted that long. I got a slide here. She was right. It is a corrupt file. Look, my thing didn't even print out. But it's the facilities. Have you guys been to this camp before? Who has never, ever, ever been to the Roanoke Christian Camp? Okay, most of you have seen the facilities. They were good World War II construction, like hurricanes. They're fine. It floods in there, good. The last building we had built was a gym in 1984-ish, 2-ish, that was supposed to be a school that never turned into a school. So it's just a too big building for what it is. We sweated in there for years. Then we took a screened-in area and made it our worship area, and it's pretty fun. We put in sewer systems, so when you flush the toilet, it goes away. That's a big deal. There are things you take for granted. When the first year I was there, and the girls, we had 66 girls in the girls' dorm, and they were flushing, and it was coming up the showers. I was like, I did not sign up for this. Anybody here work for the health department? Is this being broadcast anywhere? I did put in some illegal drain lines that week. I was like, everybody looked that way. Took the tractor out and dug a trench. I'm like, we got to get this done. And somehow talked the health department into it because we had a permit to get it fixed. And I was like, yeah, but you said you gave us a permit for a year, right? We have a year. They were like, I guess so. So they didn't shut us down. I don't know. I don't know how. Jesus loves this camp. I will say this over and over. Last year, the way acid works in the vent stacks, if you have them out of metal, they will rust and collapse into the bottom and form this nice brick wall that when you try to flush the toilets, they don't go down. And then you call the plumber, and he spends 2 hours tearing up his equipment trying to drill through it. And then he gets through it, and he comes over and says, you guys got to do something about these dorms soon because this plumbing in this boys' dorm is about to go out. 2023, 2 slides later, 1 slide later because we deleted it. There's a schedule. I got a big banner back there. If you need to know about a session of camp for your kid, I can tell you about it. I'm super excited about what we got coming up. So there's that. A typical day. Does anybody care about a typical day at camp? Somebody does? Anybody does? Okay, good. Because this is the number one question we get asked, but some churches are like, no, we don't want to know. So we wake up. We eat breakfast. Now, wake up is an interesting thing if you're a staff because these kids are excited. They went to bed way too late, and for some reason, they still wake up at 5 in the morning. And they're all like, their dorms, and they're talking, and it gets louder and louder, and finally you're just like, just go get a shower. And then they do or they don't. We do make every kid take a shower. It's either at night or in the morning. So we wake up, we go eat breakfast. I like food. I have to eat these meals for 8 weeks. So I try to make good food. Last year, the quality slipped a little bit. We had a brand new cook. And she fell at the dining hall and had to get her ankle fixed. So I was cooking quite a bit. We're working on it this year. The food gets better. Morning session, there's some kind of big group thing to wake everybody up, some devotion, some kind of lesson. We spend about half our day talking about spiritual things, the other half of our day doing activities that are somehow related to that spiritual thing. Classes in the morning. If you went to camp a long time ago, it still follows the same schedule. I wanted to have some kind of continuity, like hymns. Hymns are good. I went to a church in Mexico. I don't speak Spanish very well. I could make jokes about Spanish from my fluent friend who thinks I'm crazy just because I know just enough to get myself hurt. I went there, and we're reading from the book to each other, but we go into the church, and they're singing, "This is my soul, my Savior God." And we're singing in English, 20 of us, in the wrong church, of all things. We went to the wrong church before cell phones. We didn't know what we were doing. And there's 30 of the congregation there singing in Spanish, and it was beautiful. There's something continuity about it, and I like the idea that when your kid goes to camp, my grandmother was at the first session of camp. I found her little booklet where she's got N and L with little hearts in there for Nathan and Letitia. She had her boyfriend that ended up being my granddaddy, written all in the margins. It's funny how she's 17 and doing the same thing. But her session of camp was different than mine, but a whole lot the same. And I like it that I can sit there and talk to her about sessions of camp we have and the things. So if you went to camp growing up, it looks the same. So we have classes in the morning. We have lunch. There's recreation in the afternoon. We still we try to use the river some, and if you know anything about rivers, this is not like that. You can walk out to the middle, and the deepest part of this river is about 8 feet deep. There are little trenches out there that run 11 or 13 feet, for the most part average of it, so it's not very deep. You can walk out a football field and be this deep. It's sand. It's got like grassy stuff growing in it. It makes you feel like you've walked on something wrong at times. We let the kids go out to their waist because I don't have any open water certified lifeguards. So the kids will walk out and they're mad because it's only this deep and they feel like they're too close to the shore, but I don't want anybody drowning on my watch. But we have pool, we have canoes, they have games, we have a gaga pit we built, we have all kinds of little things we've done, different activities, different things. The thing that makes our camp special, like I said before, is the volunteers. Everybody shows up fresh, new for the week. My staff, after about 6 weeks, wants to fight each other. They've been living together. They've been working long hours. They don't like each other. And then a brand new, fresh group of volunteers showed up, excited and ready to work with the kids. It makes it special. It also makes it special we don't have great facilities. They got to get creative and come up with games. These people created ultimate Quidditch. You know about Harry Potter? They had the Quidditch game where they fly up there and throw the things through. And you have ultimate Frisbee where you throw the Frisbees. They combine these games. That's fun. Like, we got creativity. So you don't know what you're going to get. It's fun. It's exciting. Tell you about a game, you're like, I don't know what you're saying, but good job, kid, because they're just talking. That's what my daughter does when she comes home from school, just talks a lot. And I'm like, that sounds great. We eat some, we clean up a little bit, eat some dinner. There's an evening session. We have usually the main speaker, Vespers, that kind of thing is at night, big worship band, big playing. Our pavilion, we have the same speakers they have in Walnut Creek and Raleigh. My neighbors 2 blocks over can hear the music some nights, and our neighbors will come sit on the fence and listen to the music a lot of nights because it's really good. There's really talented people out there. Campfire, go to sleep, do it again the next day. So that's our day. Does that make sense? Okay, good. And it follows that like every week. That's a small picture, but we're trying to do things for the camp because I feel like I said, we've got our money's worth out of the buildings we have. If you're looking at investing, you spend what? I got the parts list of all the stuff that they bought for the first, because I found a little book, and it doesn't look like they spent a lot of money. I don't know what translates from 1948, 49 to now in money, but it seems like they didn't spend a lot of money on the dorm, and it's held up really well. We need a new dorm. That's what the plumber said. That's what parents say. We did a survey a couple of years ago. What was the number one thing? 96% of the respondents said, get new dorms. So we said, okay. So if you look on the back of that picture, up near the top of the property, where the sand spurs are, I said we should build a dorm. And I designed this cool dorm. It had pocket doors. It was flexible. It'd be like a hotel sometimes and a dorm the rest of the time. Also like $15 million. That's out. So pretend like that's 4 buildings up at the top. Yeah. We're trying to build 4 dorms. And that's phase 1. And I'm not asking you for money this time, but if I come back next year, I will be asking you for money. So go ahead and be ready for that. Because the first building will be $1.6 million, a ballpark. We haven't paid much money. The engineer donated a whole lot of his time. The contractor that's built a lot of churches in the area donated his time to help us get to a ballpark price. 1.6 million-ish. We might be able to get it down. Probably not, because we know about prices and they only go up. So the best time to build is still now, even though it's 30% more than it was 4 years ago. The second building will be $1.2 million. We're trying to build 2 dorms. Will you hit the next slide, Roy? I might get you to go back in a second. They're pretty. They look a lot like the dorms we have now. That's kind of nice, because we're not in the Pacific Northwest. I'm not trying to build cabins. I'm trying to build coastal-looking dorms. Is there another slide, maybe? Okay. These buildings are about 40 feet long. The porch is about 12 feet deep. That's a nice porch on the front. Some fans sitting out there, hanging out with your kids. Inside, just behind it, is another room. I think they built the girls' dorm like this that's here now. There was a little area to hang out with in front. But what we noticed is the girls' dorm filled up fast, so they quickly turned that into another room, it looks like, because it's just wood there, and the rest of it's concrete block. I have no confirmation on this. It's just things I see. But we have a meeting area in the front that is big, that can house everybody in the dorm. So if they want to do talks at night, if the staff needs somewhere to stay, if we need a classroom space, we'll have 4 of those. Each dorm would house 52 people. They have handicap accessible dorms in the front, rooms in the front, and then they're kind of set up like suites. I got pictures in the back because I know most of you wouldn't care. But 8 people per bathroom. Right now, the best we got in the girls' dorm is 10 people per bathroom, and the boys' dorm is like I don't know, 14, 17 people per bathroom. It's kind of bad at the boys' dorm. I even put new bathrooms in because I felt showers in because I felt bad for them. So there's more showers. That's what made the other building so expensive. I had a lot of showers, and they said you got too many showers. And I said you can't have too many showers. And they gave me the price tag. I was like, I got too many showers. So we redesigned this to this way. It's got a lot of things like we built it the last 75 years. That's why it's so expensive, because the ones we have now are that we could build it cheaper, and then the first hurricane to come through would probably make us pay money. And what I've learned in this is you can do things cheap, and then you pay for it later. Like, there are Band-Aids I put on when camp's going on, like the water line, somebody run over it with the lawnmower. It had a thing up. Like, don't run over my water line. I've got a thing. They ran it over and smashed it into the water line, blew it up. So now I'm like out there just flex sealing it and trying to get it to work for camp so I can go buy the right thing. Costs more money in the long run to do it. So we're trying to do it right the first time. So it sounds like a lot of money. It is a lot of money. But we've got 75 years of churches, 75 years of alumni. Really, if everybody got involved, I want to have 2 dorms in a couple of years. Put the girls in the 2 new dorms, and then move the boys in the girls' dorm, because we could have 104 people in there. That means we could have 90 campers, and the wait list right now with the girls at intermediate is 90. We could have every girl come to camp this year. So there's good things about it, a lot of good things. It's got heat. It's got air conditioning. It's got insulation on the walls. You can insulate walls. Welcome to the 21st century. So there's a lot of good things about it. I'd love to talk to you about it forever. Those are plans for that. What's the next one? Oh, yeah, we're blasting through this. Give us money. If you want to support the camp, do that. Next slide. Here's what I want you guys to do. Because you guys, how many grew up going to any summer camp? Did anybody go to a summer camp growing up? Was it not one of the best times of your life? How is it fair that the kids get to have all the fun? That's not fair. We're grown-ups. We got money. We could do what we want, but we can't because we got kids. Hold us back, spending all our money. I'm telling you right now, I'm giving you a chance, an opportunity. Cinco de Mayo, next Friday. From like supper time to lunchtime. That's your time. Adult camp. We got, Kurt Honeycomb. Have you guys heard of him? He's going to do a devotion for us. Roger Kitzmiller for CFR, he's going to come talk. If you don't know Roger, he almost died from COVID a couple of years ago. He was in the hospital for a while. He was bad off. He also works for Christian Financial Resources. He has he has loaned us the money to do the projects we have now. So he will speak about his life, his touch with death, I hope, and how you can use your money to help churches. Like, what's wrong with that? And then we got Mr. Bill Griffin coming to talk about the theme of it's perseverance. And he is persevered well. He's lost his wife. He's, in another form of ministry. So he's going to talk about that with us. It should be fantastic. Did I mention we bought a slushy machine? I've got to try this slushy machine out. It will be running 24/7. If you want a slushy, just go get a slushy. You're grown-ups. If you don't want to hear Kurt Honeycomb speak, if you don't think I can make good tacos, we'll see. Just go to Burger King and get you some food. If the game they're doing you think is dumb and you'd rather sit on the river or take the canoes out or sit by the campfire, you're grown-ups. You get out of this what you want to get out of it. Mr. Richard Smartnick was the camp manager when I did my internship there all those years ago. When I got the job, he came and congratulated me. He said, look, this will stress you out. You got a lot of kids you're responsible for. You got a lot of churches that have opinions about what you're doing. He said, nothing can fix a problem like a cup of coffee and time with Jesus on this river. Some of y'all need a cup of coffee and time with Jesus on the river. You can do that. So I'm encouraging you to come and see all this firsthand. We can register this week. If you're afraid of websites, call up our office and say, I want to go to adult camp. We'll get you in. But I think it's a great opportunity. We've got about 20 signed up now. We're expecting about 10, 15 more if they follow through. Who knows? But it's fun. And we've got 18-year-old and a 78-year-old register. You could be the oldest one there. I'll give you a crown to wear from Burger King or something. I don't know. A star. So it's all the ages. We got the boys in the boys' dorm, the girls in the girls' dorm. We have new mattresses that St. Clair's Church donated just before the pandemic. So we had the little squishy ones that you laid on. These are big and a little harder, but squishy at the same time. They're just the right amount of camp padding. It's a bunk. Go to camp, have fun. Come see what it's about. I think it'd be fun for us to hang out. I think you'll get a lot out of it. I would love to have you there. And then, does anybody have any questions real quick? Any questions? I blew through a lot of things. I talked about some things too long. I bored him in the back. Sorry. Oh, he didn't see. He was yawning. My friends. I miss Wilderness Camp, y'all. That was a lot of fun. With your people out here, we had a blast, didn't we? It was a good time. And now we don't do it anymore because the summer got squished. Had to cut some things. Do you have a question, sir? We have basketball. Yes, the gym has a basketball goal that is slightly tilted this way, so if you shoot from the right side, you make a lot more shots. I tried to get up there and fix it, but apparently they went through half-inch like metal, and my drill bit wouldn't do it, and if it did, I can't drill half a hole or another hole, so I just gave up on it and left it crooked, is what I'm saying, because it's not an NBA court. So I will teach you how to use every advantage out there. Any more questions? All right, I will be standing right over there after church. I would love to talk to you about camp, getting your kids registered, how to win at basketball. I got you. Thank you all very much.
Questions for him? Please ask him. Most of the time, you'll get an honest answer. Okay. Tom, if you guys will come on up, we're going to sing our invitation song. The purpose of today, you notice, is we haven't done this in quite a while. Just having someone come in and tell us what's happening outside of our church walls that we are helping with in some way or another, either by sending kids or in any other way we participate. But the purpose of us today, for you to see what's available out there for your children, and maybe encourage your children to invite others. Talk about a friend for life. Sarah went to camp, and Joni became her best friend, and ended up being her maid of honor at her wedding. And they have maintained a good relationship and enjoy each other's children and everything since. So you can make some great friends. You met your wife there? Good. Yeah. If you can't get a girl any other way, go to camp. No, she's a wonderful lady. I pray for her. All right. If you need to make a decision for Jesus, maybe this didn't lead you, to some precipice. Hey, I feel like this has pushed me over the top. But you can make an honest, intellectual decision based on the Word of God that Jesus is the Christ, the Son of the living God, and you want to be His servant. You want to be His follower. You want the salvation He offers. So come when we sing this song and make your decision. Make your decision to believe, repent, confess, and be baptized, and to go out and serve. You can make also a decision if you want to place your fellowship here with us. And for those of us who have already made our decision to follow Christ, sometimes we have to make a decision to get ourselves back on the right road. So consider doing that if you need to. Tom?